Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, a brutal killing.
After I found my grandmother in a pool of blood, I was diagnosed with PTSD.
He self-medicates with marijuana.
Is he blaming the murder?
He is using this as an excuse to steal from us and not take care of his son.
For the man he's become?
He thinks this is something you owe to him.
No.
That's what you said.
I'm tired of being disrespected.
You are the most toxic human being I've met in my life. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Elaine and her husband Rick say they are being held hostage by their son AJ, who they call the ultimate moocher. Now, they say AJ is not just a moocher. They say he is violent, he is lazy, he is entitled, and he is expecting his parents to pay his rent, chauffeur him around town, and buy his groceries. Now, Elaine says she even receives voicemails from her 32-year-old son screaming at her for not buying candy and ice cream.
You stupid bitch. Archer's been asking for ice cream and candy for 2-3 days now. The ice cream was for him and his sore throat, bitch.
She's paying the bill. Elaine and Rick also say AJ smokes pot in front of his young son and randomly dumps the 4-year-old on their doorstep when he's fed up with being a father. Well, AJ says, look, he just says he's not a normal 32-year-old and cannot be expected to act like one after the trauma he experienced 8 years ago. Take a look at what he's talking about.
20-year-old David Moses will spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of 81-year-old Dorothy Session.
Prosecutors say Nash acted as a lookout while David Moses and her sister Katia Nash beat Session to death in her East Bakersfield home.
My grandma was the center, a pillar of our family.
In April of 2010, my mother was brutally murdered by 3 kids that broke into her home.
I went to find my grandma lying in a pool of blood in her dining room.
When AJ found her, she had been badly beaten, but she was still alive.
She was still able to talk to me, and she was able to tell me a description of who assaulted her.
I got there 10 or 15 minutes later, and they already had her in the ambulance.
We experienced seeing our mother on a gurney being taken away.
I was the one who had to make the final decision whether to let my mom live or die. I was there when she took her last breath.
We had to watch her die.
We've all suffered from her loss.
Part of me wishes, maybe I should have just stayed and hung out a little bit longer that day, and that might not have happened.
Since her death, AJ's behavior has gotten worse, extremely volatile.
3 people were found guilty for my grandmother's murder.
I understand the initial shock of him finding his grandmother in a pool of blood. I totally understand that he has PTSD, but there are programs to help him.
I try to share with AJ that I understand what he went through, but he says I couldn't possibly understand because I wasn't there.
But Elaine and Rick insist that 8 years later, AJ is just using this tragedy to get away with his behavior. Take a look.
My son AJ, he's very violent and a complete mooch.
The reason I'm pissed off at you all the time, Mom, is because you make the wrong move by listening to everybody else.
My stepson treats his mother like I'm sick of it.
I do believe that my son's diagnosis of PTSD is correct. However, sometimes I don't know whether he's using that as an excuse or if he's really suffering from PTSD. My relationship with AJ is volatile. AJ regularly calls me the B word, calls me a whore, slut, fat slut.
He taught his son to call me Papa Dumbass.
One time I bought groceries for him, and he left me a voicemail because he was so angry with me that he didn't get what he wanted.
You stupid bitch. Archer's been asking for ice cream and candy for 2-3 days now.
He hasn't gotten physical towards me, but he has towards my husband.
One night, AJ was making too much noise, and we got into a big fight.
I am also afraid that he might do something that would hurt his son. He's abandoned his son at our house. What do they taste like?
Like oranges.
One time when he left Archer with us, I said, you know where Daddy is and what he's doing? And Archer says to me, yeah, he's gonna go blow his brains out. I didn't take his threat of suicide seriously.
If you don't care that I'm ready to kill myself outside, you go across the street coming over here yourself and checking on your son. That's what I need.
I immediately went down to the courthouse and grabbed paperwork to file for temporary custody of my grandson. He has done everything from stealing from me. I am going broke, working my second job, just to be able to take care of him, to pay his rent, his utilities. I'm done. I am so done.
Okay, tell me what that means you're done.
I am done because I can't believe I have a 32-year-old son who is still using this PTSD as an excuse to take money from us, to steal from us, and not take care of his son.
Why would he do any different? Isn't this working really well for him?
It is, but it's about to stop.
You've got a second job to subsidize him.
Yes.
You don't know whether this is really the fallout from PTSD, the trauma of finding his grandmother, which I'm very sorry, all of you, for your loss and that trauma and having to go through that. But your debate is whether or not this is a legitimate syndrome that he's going through, or if this is just an excuse.
We've been trying to be patient with him to the point that, you know, I don't know what to do.
Well, let's look at the behavior here.
Okay.
You say he calls you a bitch and a whore and a slut.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know why. I don't know why he
You
calls
think that may be some of the fallout from the...
I think he feels like that if he gets angry with me and calls me those names and stuff, I'm going to break and I'm going to do what he wants me to do. And sometimes that does happen.
He constantly badgers her, calling her on the phone at all hours of the night if he needs something, okay? And it's like, why can't you figure out how to do for yourself? In other words, take care of yourself and not worry about Mama coming to get you, to help you.
But Mama does come to get him and help
I know.
him. Mama pays his rent.
And we have gone around...
And his utilities. And his groceries. He's actually stolen from you.
Yes.
But you just show back up over there the next day with a sack full of groceries, right?
Not that easily, but yes, I do.
I mean,
because you say he's not capable of caring for his son.
No, I don't think he is. I mean, there's times he's a good dad to play with him and things like that, but everything else that is involved in him being a parent,
He refuses to seek treatment.
Right.
Right? He refuses to take meds, the PTSD medication. He self-medicates with marijuana and alcohol. That's what he calls it, self-medication. He won't get a job. He has a disability check because he's convinced somebody that he has PTSD, but he uses that for social life.
Right.
Okay? He steals money from you. He's verbally and physically abuses all the family. He's left his son unsupervised for almost a day, like 19 hours at one point.
Right.
He drops him off at your house when he's fed up.
Yes.
He's like, oh, I'm fed up with this kid, you take him. He smokes and drinks around his son.
Yes.
So that means he's impaired.
Yes.
And the son is breathing in second-hand marijuana.
Yes.
You say he doesn't bathe his son. He's in the same clothes for days.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with his son's schooling.
Right.
He's taught the son to call some members of the family names.
Yes.
What's your name?
I just found this out from my other son, that he calls me Mimi.
And yours?
Papa Dumbass.
Okay. And he's told his son he's going to go blow his brains out.
Yes, he has.
Okay. Does he have a name for his son? Has he called his son names?
Not that I know of. I haven't ever heard him calling the name that I can remember.
Yeah, well, he's got a name for his little son, too.
That'd be news to us.
Well, he calls him a little mother.
I did not know that.
AJ told me. He just admitted, he said, yeah, I do that. We laugh about it.
It's not funny.
No, it's not even almost funny. Coming up, Elaine and Rick say AJ's demands never stop, from chauffeuring him around town to paying his expenses so he could audition for The Voice. They say he demands it all. Now, we're going to meet him after the break and see what he has to say.
My mom can be overbearing and nagging. Rick can be an I'm lazy, I don't like to clean. I'll throw things, fight, scream. My parents feel like I should be responsible, be able to pay my own bills and have my own place, but it's not that easy for me with everything I've been through.
And later...
How do you talk to your mom the way you're talking to her? We're not your enemies, AJ.
I'm tired of being disrespected.
That's when I'm volatile and I'm at my edge.
One of the demands that AJ makes on me is to drive around town and pick groceries and things up for him, and he has his own car. I do grocery shopping for him. When I asked him what he wanted from the grocery store, he said, candy and ice cream, the same blanking stuff. He also calls me the mom taxi because I drive him everywhere. This is the normal treatment I get from him.
Well, 8 years ago, 32-year-old AJ found his grandmother lying in a pool of blood after a brutal home invasion. Now, Elaine and Rick say that ever since that day, AJ has used it as an excuse for his bad behavior. AJ says, look, this is not an excuse. He says his PTSD is for real, and his family needs to be more understanding.
A year after I found my grandmother, I was diagnosed with PTSD. I'm lazy, I don't like to clean, I don't follow through with a lot of things. The problem that's going on does have to do with being diagnosed with PTSD. I can't find peace and the anger is almost constant. I'll throw things, fight, scream, anything, just to feel like I'm being heard.
You only care about my hope when, what, you don't do something I ask you to do.
Some people might view the way I speak to my parents to be verbal abuse, but it's usually just how I talk with my best friends. I feel like my family really doesn't want to help me the way I need to help. My parents feel like I should be responsible, be able to pay my own bills and have my own place, but it's not that easy for me with everything I've been through. My mom can be overbearing and nagging. Rick can be a mother. My temper since my grandmother's death towards my family has gotten way worse. They don't support me. They don't come around, and I feel like I'm left alone and locked away. A month after my grandma's death, I was dating someone, got in an argument, and busted out the front windshield of her car with a baseball bat and got a vandalism charge. I smoke pot every day because it does help me. It's that instant gratification when it's bad, just to take a few drags, relax. I'm a great father. When I get mad, I yell, curse, throw things. Pick up your toys, you little mother. He'll be like, I'm not that, and we'll laugh, and he'll start picking up his toys, and he gets it that dad's pissed. The reason I am so angry and feel volatile all the time is because I feel like I don't have family and that support that I need.
Okay, good to meet you.
You too, sir, yes.
So you say that you have the anger you have and feel frustrated because you don't have the family support that you need.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm around them enough. And also with the PTSD, I was diagnosed with IED, intermittent explosive disorder.
Right.
I'd like to make that's probably why I get volatile and the language, not the PTSD, because those don't add up.
Right.
The way I act and whatnot. But for the intermittent explosive disorder, it does. And I think that also has to go with history, even further back than my grandmother.
You say you've had about a dozen jobs, but nothing really stuck.
Right.
But you're 32.
Yes, sir.
And you're not self-sustaining. You're not self-supporting.
Yeah, very not self-motivated, get depressed real easy. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, I admit everything that's going on here and everything that was said, yeah.
You acknowledge that they do provide, particularly your mother provides a lot of support with your son.
Yeah.
Buys groceries.
Yeah, she does it. Everything that I need, she does do for me. Yes, I do, and I am happy for that. But there are some things, like the whole ice cream bit and candy and same things as usual, that part, let me explain that. Archer all day had heard the ice cream truck and I'd missed it. So I asked her those specific things, well, the regular stuff, chicken nuggets, whatever, and could you please get some ice cream or candy for Archer? Well, I said, oh yeah, Mimi's gonna get it for you, and I promised my son that. So him not having that, I felt so bad I couldn't get that, what I promised him to have, and that's what set me off with that situation.
Well, Elaine says she's fed up with AJ's constant verbal abuse. Let's listen to one of these many voicemails. This is just picked one. Here's one of the voicemails.
You stupid bitch. Archer's been asking for ice cream and candy for 2-3 days now. And don't ask me, well, give me a list of what you want, then if you're not going to bring the things I do put down. Just bring whatever the you want and don't ask me what do I want next time, okay? It makes it a whole lot easier. The reason isn't ever good enough, Mom, is because you don't listen and do what I ask.
Pretty much, yeah, I'll admit, yeah, that is the situation I'm talking about exactly.
Okay, now, this is somebody doing you
a favor, exactly.
A favor.
But when she asked me, what do I want? Can you write me a list? I expect, well, she's asked me what I want, so here it is on the list.
But you say you don't feel bad about her doing these things or your family doing these things because you say this should be your primary level of support.
Well, you would think so with everything that's going on.
You're talking about your grandmother.
Well, my grandmother, yes.
By the way, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Oh, that's going to make me cry.
Yeah. Well, I'm very sorry. She was apparently a great lady.
Incredible woman.
Yes.
Yeah, great lady.
Incredible.
And I'm sorry that happened. And
hang on. Can we take those off?
Yeah, we'll take them away. I just wanted everybody to see her. She's a great lady. Well, I want to add AJ's older brother to this conversation as well. Matt says he's not buying the PTSD excuse for AJ's volatile behavior. He says that AJ is a giant destructive vacuum who has always played the victim, and he says he's had enough of it.
AJ has played the victim his entire life. AJ has an extremely short temper. AJ absolutely destroyed the house from breaking windows, punching holes in walls. I'm afraid that one day he's going to snap and he's going to hurt my nephew.
And later,
we have the same sets of parents. We've been through the same traumatic stuff.
How come you get the excuse of I don't have to live my life while the rest of us got to be out there working to support our families and I'm not mooching off of Mom?
AJ loves to sing and play guitar. Just last month, AJ asked me to help fund his way to Arizona to audition on The Voice.
I thought it should be my parents' job to help me get there because of the situation I'm in.
I agreed that I would buy a hotel room for him, and then he took off to go to Arizona. But his car overheated, and he didn't make it to Arizona, and he was livid because I wouldn't rent a car for him to get there.
I was volatile when I couldn't get there. I'm all alone doing this. F you guys.
When he got back, he called me all kinds of names and told me that he didn't want Archer around me anymore because if I continued to raise him, he would turn out just like him.
I did say that, yeah.
Well, 8 years ago, AJ found his 81-year-old grandmother struggling for her life after a brutal home invasion. Now, he says his PTSD is so bad that he can't work, he can't pay his own bills, and at times he's so impaired that he just really doesn't have the energy, the focus to care for his own son. His brother Matt says he doesn't buy that. He says it's just an excuse.
The biggest problem with AJ is that he refuses to get help for his PTSD. AJ is extremely unpredictable. He's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. AJ is toxic and disrespectful. Rather than take the medication that was prescribed to AJ self-medicates with marijuana and alcohol, and he smokes in the house in front of his 4-year-old son. Poor little Archer's walking around in this stuff. AJ has played the victim his entire life. When my grandmother died, I tried to be the strongest I could be for our family. AJ was nowhere to be found. I don't remember seeing AJ again until the day of my grandmother's funeral. Before my grandmother passed away, AJ's explosive behavior was once a month. Now his explosive behavior has become almost a daily occurrence. 2 years ago, AJ absolutely destroyed the house he was living in, breaking windows, punching holes in walls, destroyed the flooring in the house. AJ has an extremely short temper. If he comes to the house knocking on the door and you don't answer, he will kick it in just to see if you're home. In 2010, AJ and his ex-wife got in a fight and he slapped her and she got on a plane, went home, and we haven't seen her since. That same year, AJ was arrested when he attacked his girlfriend's car with a baseball bat, totaling the car. I know that AJ loves Archer beyond a shadow of a doubt, but AJ just does not have the capacity for taking care of his son right now. From the mess they live in to his behavior, I don't think he is suitable for raising that child. If I was given the opportunity, I would absolutely adopt my nephew to make sure that he has a safe environment to be raised in. My biggest fear is that something terrible is going to happen to my nephew because of his father's violent outbursts. I'm afraid that one day he's going to snap and he's going to hurt him.
Matt, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Why do you think this is an excuse?
I think a lot of the cause is AJ just doesn't want to have to be a responsible adult.
Why not?
Well, if somebody else would do everything for you, would you want to do anything for yourself? We have the same sets of parents. We've been through the same traumatic stuff. Now, finding grandma, I'll give you that. I couldn't imagine what that was like, other than the fact that, you know, we were all there.
You were there.
Okay, I understand you were there, but you didn't have her blood on your arms while she was throwing up trying to talk to you. You don't have that kind of memory seared in there. She was laying in a hospital bed. She was on a gurney.
We watched her die, AJ.
I understand that.
We watched her die.
I understand that, Rick.
Why is it? Is it because I've married your mom?
No,
is this
Rick,
why? Is that part of it?
Part of the disconnect is you and me, yes. No.
Okay.
No, are you being married? I'm glad she's happy, but part of the disconnect is ours, yes. Because I feel you never wanted me around, Rick. As soon as you got, hang on, please let me finish. As soon as you guys got married, I wasn't in your house for, 6 months? But I should have been, because when you took her on, I should have been there too. You guys left me alone, and I did some stupid things, got a girl pregnant, dropped out of school, went to get a job in the oil fields. I take responsibility for that, but I was a child left alone.
A child? You were just short of being 18.
Regardless, I was still in school, still hadn't graduated. I still needed nurturing and parenting.
And you still got taken care of, even though you were living in that house.
Taken care of
you
like
didn't
I
have
am
to
now.
pay for anything. You didn't have a job. All you had to do was go to school.
Okay. What I'm saying again is it's the family disconnect that I'm missing. What I'm asking for is them to be around more and be more involved in my life. And if that can't happen...
We've been there.
And that's why I've taken,
been
again...
there for you.
But... If that can't happen and nothing changes today and you guys are done, then fine. I have another route I'm going to take. Me and Archer can go on and it'll be fine.
We're here because we love you and we want to help you.
I'm telling you, I believe there was a disconnect, and the disconnect is you guys aren't around enough, and I want my family around more. I feel I need more people
What is it to be around you?
That's the
You are the most toxic human being I've ever met in my life.
How do you talk to your mom the way you're talking to her? How do you text her those
That's me. That's when I'm volatile and I'm at my edge. I don't mean those things.
Why?
I don't know.
She's providing for you. We're providing for you.
I feel like I'm not being heard.
I think you are heard. I think we just don't do everything that you want us to do. So therefore, because we don't do what you want to do, it's okay for you to disrespect me. And I'm tired of being disrespected.
Okay, and I understand that. And I'm sorry. I do not mean the things I say or come across. I do not mean
Then why say them?
Well,
Because
I've got
I'm
some
upset
questions
at the
that I want to
time.
ask that I think will move this train down the track. AJ's family says that he was violent before his grandmother's death.
I'll agree.
We'll talk about that after the break. Plus, why his mother and brother think AJ may be a danger to his own son.
And I'm not. Sometimes I do feel like I neglect Archer.
Although AJ loves his son, often when we see Archer, he's dirty. The last time I saw him, he hadn't bathed for 3 days. AJ started stealing from me when he was a teenager. For years, he's been taking my ATM card, taking money out of my account that I have not authorized.
In 2009, my toolbox disappeared. My brother had taken it. I had about $15,000 worth of tools in there.
Just recently, he's stolen $800.
I have confronted him. He says, well, he goes, you don't spend enough time with me, so that's why I take money from you.
Well, AJ's entire family fears that he's endangering his 4-year-old son with his behavior, and last summer dumped his son on his grandparents for 3 months to go joyriding around the country.
Sometimes I do feel like I neglect Archer.
Although AJ loves his son, often when we see Archer, he's dirty. The last time I saw him, he hadn't bathed for 3 days. I said, he's still in the same clothes that he was 3 days ago. He goes, yeah, well, I was tired and I didn't feel good.
No bath. He literally reeked of marijuana.
My son, he's always clean. I make sure he has a bath every night and he's fed. But, he might go out to my mom's car with a dirty face. But I let him have chocolate and sugar and sodas. And, he's a kid.
AJ asked me to pick him up some NyQuil for his cold. He told me he went to sleep at 8:30 at night and didn't wake up until 3:30 p.m. the next day. I said, well, where was Archer when all of this was going on? He said, I have no idea. It turns out that while he was asleep, Archer stuck a toy into the furnace and AJ woke up to a burning smell. I'm worried about the well-being of my grandson.
If somebody tried to take my little Archer from me, I'd end up in a bad place. He's like the only source of love I feel I have these days.
If the diagnosis that you say you have is accurate, PTSD and IED, what are you doing about it?
Well, basically, I'm self-medicating with marijuana. That's how I get through anything. I've smoked twice before I've even met you today because I knew this was going to be hard and I didn't want to break down on stage.
Okay, but so you're seeking no treatment.
I have in the past, and I felt it was doing no good in group therapy.
You're taking no medication.
I've taken some before. I didn't like the way it felt.
You're just smoking weed.
Pretty much, yeah.
That ain't gonna fix what ails you.
It doesn't fix it. It just puts a temporary fix on it, like a Band-Aid, so I can get through the day. That's all it is.
Yeah, no, it doesn't even do that. What it does is it impairs your thinking, robs you of your motivation. And what are your primary symptoms for your PTSD? What are your primary symptoms?
Depression, get some nightmares due to the incident. Every now and then makes it hard to sleep. And, anytime I think about my grandma or see her, you know, I break down.
That doesn't sound like it's anywhere close to the criteria for PTSD. I don't know. I'm, like I say, I can't diagnose you here, but you guys have explained to us, all of you in your interviews, that he's got PTSD from finding his grandmother in such a terrible state, and that he spiraled out of control since then. But I put together a quick look, and this is where
what?
Grandmother was found down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I go all the way down here to 0405. This is when he got mad and destroyed his brother's guitar. In 05, you say he punched your car so hard it left knuckle prints. In 06, he's in the kitchen and he jumps on his brother's back when he's in a back brace.
Okay.
In April of 06, he has a physical altercation with his brother's ex-wife. In 07, he just stopped making payments on his car. In 08, he gets his brother's gun. You think there's a standoff, but he's not even at the house, but he does shoot holes in a chair. He's suspected of stealing his brother's toolbox. Don't know whether he did or he didn't. In 09, steals grandparents' jewelry. In 09, physical altercation with stepdad, resulting in a torn tendon. In January of 10, Elaine emails listing issues. You sent us this email. You've emailed us 4 times. You've emailed us 3 times. No high school diploma, stolen money from mom, needs pot for anxiety, pre-PTSD diagnosis, told brother, why would I get a job when I have mom? I mean, all of this is going on before this happens.
Yeah. But we're not your enemies, AJ.
Okay, but I'm trying to explain that this right here makes me look like a when all these altercations right here, other things were involved. He swung at me and we got an altercation. It doesn't say anything about his attitude towards me and swinging.
How come you get the excuse of I don't have to live my life while the rest of us got to be out there working to support our families, and I'm not mooching off of mom?
I understand that, I do.
Well, listen, I'll take a position that everything that you say is true. My question is, does she really understand the consequences of her actions here? We'll be right back.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil. Love hurts, and they have the scars to prove it.
He hit me.
She grabs my hair.
You've broken her collarbone?
I didn't break her collarbone.
You were just standing there and her collarbone snapped.
That's tomorrow.
AJ doesn't work. He's on a limited income, so I always pay for things for him and his son. In cash alone, over the last 6 years, I've probably spent anywhere from $21,000 to $43,000 on him. In rent, I spent over $7,000. Utilities, probably $3,000. 2007, I paid off his car. In some ways, I feel obligated to take care of AJ for what he went through because I know it's horrific. Rick feels like I need to kick him to the curb so that he can grow up.
Elaine is concerned about AJ failing, and that's why she pays the bills.
AJ says he's volatile because he feels like he doesn't have a connection with his family. And he says he steals from his mom to compensate for being alone. Let's assume you have PTSD and intermittent explosive disorder.
Yes, sir.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. You've been diagnosed that way. I have no reason to assign you any different diagnosis, but let's just assume those are correct. You're not doing anything about it.
No, I'm not.
You're just smoking dope.
Trying to raise a kid and get through the day, yeah.
People that have PTSD, it is painful. It is excruciating. It's like a death of 1,000 cuts. They hate it every day, so they wake up every morning, they go to every group, every doctor, read every book. They're on the internet. They're trying everything they can to resolve this so they can have their life back. You're doing nothing. You're just smoking dope, and what that does is change your brain. It disrupts your neurotransmitters to the point that motivation is difficult for you, problem recognition is difficult for you, problem solving is difficult for you, and you think it's okay to call your son a little.
Now, that's not like a nickname he has. That was taken out of context. Now, if I get mad, I don't spank my child because I'm a single parent, and I don't want to take it out of control. He's not cleaning his toys up, not taking his nap. I get frustrated. I'll be like, damn it, little, and it'll be out of anger. Now he laughs. He'll say, oh, I'm not that, and laugh, and then he'll start doing what he wants because he knows Dad's mad. Is it right?
That's an okay thing, and it's not.
I'm not saying it's an okay thing. I'm saying
you just said that.
That's what I have to discipline him with. So that's what I know. That's
well,
what
let me tell you, it takes 1,000 attaboys to erase that one, you little.
Amen.
Well, you're the most powerful role model in that young man's life.
Well,
the same-sex parent is the most powerful role model in any child's life, and what you're modeling for him, he will emulate in you and grow up in your image. And you owe it to yourself and to him to seek answers to this, to get yourself on a path to resolving this. I'm accepting your diagnosis of PTSD. I don't know that it's accurate. I see a lot of things that suggest otherwise. There's obviously something going on. Now, I got to take a break. AJ says if nothing changes, he'll give his mother custody of his son, pack up his things, fix his motorcycle, and take off for good. Is that the right decision? We'll be right back. Well, I'd like to add to the conversation Dr. Frank Lawless. Dr. Lawless is the chairman of the Dr. Phil Advisory Board. He's co-founder of the Lawless PvP Center. Frank is probably the foremost recognized expert in PTSD on the planet. Frank, let's assume, I said for argument's sake, that we are talking about PTSD here, and there is a huge neurological component, and you put the chemicals in marijuana on top of that, what would be the impact?
It creates a stuckness in the neurological network such that it's difficult to think outside the box.
He has taken medication before, did not like the medication because it does have side effects, but there are alternatives. If I were to fly AJ to you at the PNP Center, would you be willing to do a thorough evaluation of him mentally, emotionally, physiologically, check for heavy metals, do everything to find out what is going on with him neurologically, psychologically, otherwise, and come away with a treatment protocol to give this young man a chance to hit the reset button and truly grab onto something?
We will come up with a plan that will help him get out of this trap and create a plan that he can follow. And like I said, get him back into, or get him to a point that he can start getting traction in his own life.
We got a plan?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get it done.
Because you're talking to the best of the best right there.
Let's get it. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
All right, deal?
Deal. Like I said, I want help.
All right, that's what we're going to do. All right, I want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks to Dr. Frank Lawless and the PNP Center. Coming up, we're going to find out why a busy New York Broadway producer says she's not ready for her close-up. Next. My next guest, Lauren, is a busy New York producer and director. She also owns a company that takes theater buffs behind the scenes of Broadway shows. Now, Lauren says she loves being in charge and not having a boss, but her nonstop schedule leaves virtually no time to care for herself. Take a look.
I have a no fear, no regrets attitude. I work in the theater business. I started out as a theatrical stage manager. Ever wonder what goes on backstage the night of the Tonys? I'm really happy backstage to be able to support the performer. I also produce Broadway shows. Keep us on track on that. I've created 2 different businesses. The first is called Class Productions, another company that I began, Broadway Fantasy Camp. We get to really bring Broadway dreams to Broadway enthusiasts. Being the boss, running these 2 companies. It's maddening, no question. As time marches on, I like to maintain looking energetic. Sometimes I'm literally tired, and I'd still like to have an appearance of vivaciousness. I look in the mirror, I see lines and wrinkles, dark spots, some discoloration. My current skincare routine involves moisturizer, sunscreen, and that's pretty much it. I like to look as youthful and energetic as I feel.
Well, Lauren is joining me along with dermatologist Dr. Sonia Batra on behalf of Number 7. So welcome, guys.
Thanks.
Now, Lauren, working as a producer and director is already a full-time job. So what possessed you to start your companies giving adults the theater experience?
You know, I've been a theater person my whole life. Luckily, I was able to turn it into my profession. And I was really happy to be able to bring that personal theater professional experience to those who chose a different career path.
Yeah, it's a different perspective. And since you also work on major TV events like the Grammys and the Tony Awards, how many hours a week are you putting in?
It could be up to 60, 70 to work those rehearsals and have those opportunities while I'm still running the company and doing those events.
Well, look, that's great, short term, but when you're working 60 or 70 hours a week, putting those little jobs on your plate are stressors. You know, people talk about stress, but there's a difference. There's stressors, which are what put pressure on the body, and stress is the body's reaction. And the long term, that stress really adds up internally and externally. And if there was one thing that you could invest into going forward to fight the signs of stress, what would it be?
Well, it would be great if there was maybe one type of product that could help me take care of my face and my neck better. As time marches on, I've noticed some wrinkles on my face and some crepiness on my neck.
So, Dr. Batra's, Laura's concerns are like a lot of women, right? So, as a dermatologist, what do you suggest?
Yeah, well, Lauren, I understand living in New York City must be so busy, leaving so little time. With your incredibly busy schedule, I know it's probably really low on your list, but do you do anything to take care of your skin?
Not so much. Sunscreen and moisturizer in the morning, that's it.
Well, that's good to maintain, but the problem is it's probably not going to address or help address your concerns about dark spots or wrinkles or firmness on the face and neck. So to keep your routine really simple but make it super effective, I recommend my patients add a serum. Serums are powerhouse products that deliver really concentrated ingredients into the skin. One I like is Number 7 Restore and Renew Face and Neck Serum. The serum has 5 clinically proven results. For the face, it reduces wrinkles, it evens skin tone, and it improves firmness. And for the neck, it firms and reduces crepiness. In clinical studies, Number 7 found that 92% of subjects showed improved firmness on the neck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it sounds perfect. Is it going to complicate my routine?
Well, no. Actually, all you have to do is apply a small amount to your face and neck morning and night before you moisturize.
Well, it sounds pretty, I mean, do you think you can do that?
Definitely.
Okay. Look, taking care of your appearance is just the beginning of aging well and looking good. And as a very busy woman, you have to take care of your mental health as well. You got to take breaks. And, you know, people think they relax because they get away and multitask. Multitasking, you never really relax. There comes a time where you have to just get bored and do nothing. I mean, you have to shut down. So you got to take care of your mental health as well as your physical health, because the stress adds up there as well.
And in terms of taking care of your skin, Lauren, you can feel really good about incorporating this serum into your routine. It's actually quite affordable. You can find it at your local Target for less than $35.
Wow.
But don't rush out to Target just yet, because number 7 is sending you home with a year's supply.
Oh my God.
And everyone in the audience is going home with your own number 7 serum. All right? I want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks to Dr. Sonia Batra. Now, if you have a story or life situation that you need my help with, I would love to hear from you. And to do that, just email me at drphil.com and tell me all about it. Or if you'd like to be part of our studio audience, the tickets are free. Just go to my website and click on Get Tickets, or you can call 323-461-PHIL. That's 323-461-7445. My name is a number, 7445. And be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. We'll see you next time.